All right, everyone, this is the Harboring Light. I'm Mary. I give a conservative take about the world around me. All right, feedback is immensely important. So feel free to reach out to me, and the means for you to do so will be provided in this episode. So some of the audio platforms that I'm on Speaker, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Castbox. These are just to name a few. Okay, so this show is going to go into the aspects of fan theories about this show, Eureka. Here we go. Alright, so I'm going to give my thoughts about the show Eureka and the aspects of shows like this, and before I get into the facts. I appreciate shows that really understand how important it is to go beyond the narrative. Sorry about that fly flying around me. It's like, what? In my ear. So anyway, alright, getting back. So I am really appreciative of shows that do that, who they go and they dare to go beyond the narrative of what is being presented in a story. And so beyond Eureka, there's other shows that do these things. And, they have shows like, which is the show that is very controversial. Dead Like Me. They have shows like Pushing Up Daisies. They have shows like I'm trying to think here. Oh my goodness, I'm trying to scratch the surface of everything. Shows like Being Human. Shows like The Aspects, even though it's based on a book, Halt and Catch Fire. The unison of these shows is that they go beyond what is expected for the most part when it comes to this certain genre. Now, science fiction can absolutely get a bad rap. When you get into the aspects of the glory days of it, where you get B movies where, back in the 40s, 50s, and so when you get giant ants attacking, and then the trope of the scientist or the mad scientist trying to figure out the aspects, and you have the damsel, and all these kind of things, and it gets to the overall point of the matter. But even going on to that too, it's quite interesting because so I'm gonna use this as a real world example here. Now, going back to B movies. Now, my mother had told me some time ago, she said that when she grew up in an era of kitschy little B movie stuff where the attack of the Black Lagoon, stuff like that, and so when she heard about the movie The Exorcist, she thought it wouldn't be all that something frightful to see. It would be just be something corny. She said when she went in to see that movie, and it just really changed her point of view about the aspects of horror and films. She said so much to the fact that she wasn't very interested in trying to even remotely look at a horror film anymore after she saw that, and she saw other, horror films that came out after it. This is very prevalent because it points into the fact of the matter of how compelling storytelling can be when you go beyond what is typically presented, or when you go beyond the elements of what is deemed as something that is more generalized, to not abrupt or shake up anything. Now, going back to the aspects of Eureka and shows like that, it was very, very, very prevalent, and it was unfortunate that, it ran as long as it could, and I give it that. It could have been asked a lot sooner, like, unfortunately, with Firefly, which was fundamental in the aspects of changing, is in this category, and the aspects of changing the elements is of what it's thought of when you think about science fiction here. It goes beyond a sense of understanding at the heart of the matter. Science fiction is about human experiences and the element and the aspects of the wonder within those. And then what happens when what you think to perceive to be normal, or what you think is perceived to be the way things flow in the natural order of life, gets changed. And that is fundamentally the root of the matter that I think that is really presented in a show like Eureka, and why I think so many people rallied behind it and really, really appreciated the show. Because that is something that is relatable to so many people. What would you do in a situation like that? How it's presented. Like, how would you feel in the cusp of having the trope of being perceived as an everyday man, or I'm just a newcomer in this town, and if people already have these preconceived notions about me, and that's not always the case. And then when it comes down to the heart of the matter of me being able to be the consensus of reason to control and fix things, how does that change the cusp of what is thought about myself, or what is thought about other things? And then also the notion of intelligence, high intelligence, and having a disposition that we know right, we know what is best for you. So just look at it from this point of view, and then being questioned and being shaken too about your own worldview, thoughts on certain issues. How does that merge itself in the aspects of changing things in time, and this cyclical pattern of trying to go back and fix the right of something, and then if you do these things, how does this shape the standing of time? And which I think is very prevalent to the aspects of the franchise of Back to the Future, and why that franchise is so immensely popular, and still to this day, and I think even beyond, because it ranges into the aspects of the human condition of trying to figure out, trying to sort out, being disillusioned about something, trying to always having the courage to fix something What happens when you fix that? Does that help? Does that hurt? Trying to pick up the pieces and solve the issues when it's broken. Just keep forging on. And so, I'm in on this, and I really appreciate, and I just can't stress enough about the aspects of how, immensely respectful it is when there is content and it becomes mainstream, and people appreciate the aspects of going beyond the narrative. All right, with that said, I'm going to get into the facts and the details about fan theories of Eureka. Here we go. Okay, and of course, sources will be provided for you in this episode. So, here we go. It says, several fan theories explore the nature of the town of Eureka and the central mysteries of it. So one prominent theory suggests that Jack Carter, the sheriff, died in a car accident on his way to Eureka and is now trapped in purgatory, like the afterlife created by the accelerator equipment, where he experiences torment and the town's events are a manifestation of his subconscious. And y'all, this makes a whole lot of sense, the way that people have their disposition, towards him when he comes into town. It's almost as if it's it's exemplified of to have a disdain for someone that's new to the town, to where, you take a second look at it, maybe there's more to that. And then it's interesting how this fan theory is trying to explain this. So it says, also this theory is supported by observations that incidents in Eureka dramatically increase after Jack's arrival, and he repeatedly survives near-death experiences that defy normal logic. However, the alternative view holds that Jack is alive and simply possesses an ordinary intelligence that allows him to thrive in a town of geniuses through common sense and creativity, which is, really the essence and why I think that shows like this resonate with a lot of people, because it goes to the heart of the matter. It's, for instance, that trope where someone is highly intelligent, but they're not emotionally intelligent, or they don't have enough common sense to understand how to combat themselves in a situation that would come from actually having to be in situations where you have to rely on yourself, not only intellectually, emotionally, all the senses need to be intact in order to solve a solution. And also with the aspects of it that, that impeding answer, that, arrogance ultimately can also get in the way of the aspects of having a rational decision towards things, or having a rational viewpoint towards reality too, in different situations. All right, so however, the alternative view holds that Jack is alive, like I said, and a trait that is valued despite his lack of formal scientific training. Another theory possesses that the town of Eureka itself is not a real place, but a construct, which means possibly a sanitarium for mad scientists, where the residents are trapped because it is the only place where their visionary ideas can be realized. The town's existence is also linked to a mysterious artifact, which some believe is a crippled ascendance, being a device from the end of the current universe containing all of its recorded history. And to add on to this, there is a theory that says that the one of the doctors in the show, that her son that doesn't actually have autism. In fact, that he actually is, the example, from what I understand, he is the example of time travel, because he's split into different times. And his future and present self are colliding with each other. That's why it appears as if he has autism, but it's actually an evident proof of otherwise, which is time travel. All right, so like I said about the artifact, so potentially linking Eureka to a Warehouse 13 universe, which is Warehouse 13 universe is a quite interesting show because it expands out into as a I would say from my point of view as the post of Eureka, or maybe the pre eminent explanation of Eureka, in the way that the two detectives and their disposition and finding out all these secrets, and then all these secrets are, in themselves enclosed in a warehouse. And because of this, all the secrets of the universe and all the secrets throughout history, maybe it's one of those things where, in a metaphorical maybe, or like a sort of Pandora's box, it was unleashed onto the world, and that's in itself created possibly Eureka. That's something to think about too. All right, so it says some speculate it could be a future device back in time, or even a tool of creator deity, possibly tied to the formation of the earth. So the show's connection to other universes is also a popular topic. Eureka is theorized to exist in the Stargate verse, with characters from Stargate Command, which appear in the town. And possible that Jack Carter is a time traveler, which is a descendant of Stargate 1, the Stargate 1 characters. It is also suggested that Eureka could be set in the future of other franchises such as Futurama, Girl Genius, or even Marvel Universe, where it might be the future version of the world. Additionally, the show creator, Robert C. Cooper, has confirmed that the character Nathan Stark was inspired by Tony Stark, suggesting a thematic link to the Iron Man character. In the anime Eureka 7, the character Eureka is interpreted as a metaphor for peer pressure and smoking, with the Gecko State representing a tobacco company and a battle between LFOs symbolizing gang wars. So her illness and the appearance of Scub's coral are seen as metaphors of lung cancer, with her transformation into Coraline representing a relapse. The series is also viewed as an allegory for the possession of growing up and forming identity, with Eureka's journey reflecting the development of human emotions and relationships. And that's quite interesting with the allegory. Because, like when you break it down at the heart of the matter, with finding faith and going and being tested with faith and being disillusioned with faith, or within your disillusion, does that, prove your belief or your not belief in the faith? That's quite true to the situation of it. Because, when you are presented, let me rephrase this. When you are in the sense of presented, where in day-to-day situations, even small or big, your life is a whirlwind of all kinds of possibilities. And, if you have faith, those are combated each day as a testing point to what you believe, how you feel, your character. And then within that also tests your strength, your will, and your determination to evolve and grow, and your understanding, and in your compassion and everything else. And yeah, I can absolutely see how that makes so much sense with connecting this to Eureka. All right, so I'm gonna go a little bit deeper and say, Here are some more. This is by TV Tropes, mind you. And, of course, it'd be linked for you. So here are a few extra here details about different fan theories of Eureka. Says the universe is a failed loop and it ended in 2010 because of Henry. So it says again, however, doing so, it ultimately causes reality to intersect in 2010 to collapse on one another. While Jack does go back in time itself to stop Henry from saving Kim, that sets everything in motion, Henry remains committed to repeating the same steps. So in the end of the first episode of season 2, Henry meets with Allison in order to get a job at GD. So he can start working his way to the dictatorship. What is going on? Directorship. While this arc is ultimately abandoned and forgotten, the series ends with Henry becoming director of GD. With Henry being Henry, as he already traveled back in time to save Kim despite knowing the consequences of what could happen. He uses the GD resources to send himself back to save Kim, thus putting the timeline back onto season 1, the final path, which ultimately leads to all timelines collapsing, which leads to Carter going back in time to stop Henry. So the cycle continues for all out eternity. Eureka and the extension of Warehouse 13 takes place in the future in the Marvel Universe, as I already said. And so it says, also on top of what I was talking about, it says a little bit more details about it. So in the season 4 episode Glimpse, we get a cameo from Stan Lee, playing a scientist who has a specialization in gamma radiation. That wouldn't you wouldn't like it to get angry. Nudge, nudge. So that is to say, they have Stan Lee playing an older Bruce Banner, which may make Nathan Stark, Tony's son's grandson. Food for thought. So with that, it would make Stan Lee's character the maestro, maybe. That's a scary thought. So the artifact within artifact. So the artifact with an artifact. So it says, we do not know that they share the same universe, though this artifact seems much more powerful than the average Warehouse 13 artifact. So the man who disappears in the artifact room is played by the same actor who plays Artie. So, and it also says about the aspects of a time pretzel too. So the revelation that Jack had some fragment recollections of Henry whipping in the future of memory will probably feed into this, but it could neither straighten it out or twist future events. So they, in a stagnant time loop here, to where it's interwoven with each other. So, artifact powers are the probable technology in Eureka. So the vast amount of technology in Eureka is soft sci-fi at best. It says there's plenty of stuff, weather control, machines, force fields, perfectly human robots, etc., that could not exist without breaking or severely bending the laws of physics. So the artifacts, as seen in season 1 in the finale, has the ability to do just that. A tiny sample of the artifact lets the accelerator act as a time machine. Something that Henry has said was impossible under non-artifact modified laws of physics. So this would imply that some of the crazier machines in Eureka only work in Eureka when they are in the proximity of the artifact's power. And it also says, as a fan theory, that Chef Carter is the reason why, on top of everything else that they say about that he might be in purgatory and everything else, that maybe, and then his wits about him, it helps him solve these issues. Also, on top of that, there's a fan theory that says that maybe he's one of the rare individuals immune to the science-related mechanistic disorder that are relying him to be able to do so much. All right, so, and it's quite interesting. I'm going to end on this. It says Eureka takes place in one of the future universes from Futurama. It says the forward time machine built by the professor was thrown forward through the universe multiple times. So the artifact from the end of one of the last universes that ended. So this is a relation to, maybe this is placed in the time warp of Futurama. And also, I think this is quite interesting too. So it says global dynamics and the direct competition of the veteran dynamics from Better Off Ted, which is also an interesting take that Better Off Ted and Eureka are, in a sense, related to one another in the same universe. All right, so this reaches the end, and I'm going to end on this and say this too. Again, I really have a deep appreciation for shows that show the element of disposition and of what is expected of something. And then when you get into the fan theories that go beyond and say they explain, well, maybe there's other parallel explanations for why things that maybe Eureka is more spread out than what it seems. That also adds to the whimsy of how powerful it is to create shows that, amped people to have curiosity, to have find entertainment and different possibilities. All right, so with that said, tune in, turn up, and always take care. Bye-bye.